Parasite was released in 2019 and was directed by Bong Joon-ho. And Parasite stars Song Kang-ho, Choi Woo-shik, Park So-dam, and Jang Hye-jin. And if you couldn't tell by how I butchered those names, this movie is actually a Korean film that got a major wide release in the United States. This movie is about the Kim family, a poor family living in the slums in South Korea who sort of find a way to insert themselves into the well-off Park family for their own financial gain. Really, there's a lot more to that story, but I don't want to ruin it for people who haven't seen it. All I'll say is the story takes a left turn that you don't expect, and things get really crazy. Elements of the left turn that the film decides to make result in some of the most enthralling moments in modern cinema. And cinema is the exact right word to describe this film. You know, there are a lot of movies out there, but this right here is cinema. Director Bong Joon-ho gave us a film that's going to be talked about for many years to come. Really, it was just a matter of time before he broke out with a wider release film in the United States. He had been producing quality content for a number of years between Snowpiercer, The Host, and Memories of a Murder, and really all of it just culminated in this masterpiece. Yes, this is a Korean film with subtitles, but I really believe that if you can push through that, this is a thriller that really anybody can enjoy. And if you need confirmation of that, just look at the accolades that it won over here. This film won Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Original Screenplay at the Academy Awards, and then also won the prestigious Palme d'Or Award over at the Cannes Film Festival. And the assumption whenever a film wins those kind of accolades is that it may be a little pretentious with its messages, but I really don't think that's the case at all for Parasite. Parasite is not a 2-hour lecture on just rich people equal bad. It's a thriller with interesting, complex characters that have messages in there for you to find, and in my mind, it's what a lot of would-be award contenders try to be. This is all while incorporating visuals that have stuck in my brain since the first time I saw this film and will stay there for a very long time. But briefly touching back on the fact that this is a foreign film, I implore you to give this a chance. It's really, 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 really good. Not the most insightful thing I can say about this film, but it's true. Who knows, if you're not someone that enjoys foreign films right now, and you give this movie a chance, maybe it'll unlock a whole new style of entertainment that you didn't know about before. Now, it's really hard to talk about this movie without talking about the plot twist that it has, but really briefly, a couple of the major things that I enjoy that aren't spoiler related are the performances, the writing, and then also the cinematography. First off, the performances. I think everyone is great here, but there are 3 specific actors that I want to highlight. First off is Kang-ho Song, who plays the patriarch of the Kim family. Kang-ho Song does an incredible job of wearing years of hardship on his face in every scene that he's in, and you really get a sense that this guy has been through a lot, and he's just really grown accustomed to the life that he and his family are living now. One of the scenes that tells you everything you need to know about his character is really early in the film. They live in this basement apartment, and there's fumigation going on in the streets, and all members of his family are saying, oh, we need to close the windows. He tells them, no, leave it open, it'll be free pest control. While all of the pesticide is coming into the apartment, the entire family is coughing, they're complaining. In his face, you see that it's obviously uncomfortable, but he, for the most part, is staying stoic. He's just so used to this way of life. I think Kang-ho Song did an incredible job here of showing years of wear and tear on this man's mind, heart, soul, you name it, without the movie having to show through a series of flashbacks. Next up is Lee Jung-eun. He plays the housekeeper for the Park family, at least the housekeeper for the beginning of the movie. And really, there's not a whole lot I can say about her performance without going into spoilers, but all I'll say is she delivers a really dynamic performance here, and she does a lot more than I expected her to do. And lastly, there's So-dam Park. She is an absolute scene stealer. She plays the daughter of the Kim family. Just brings across this demanding, almost controlling presence throughout the entire film, whether she's in the basement apartment with her family or chilling in a rich person's house. Overall, really amazing performance here. Really would have liked it if she had received a little bit more award recognition, because I can't think off the top of my head of another supporting actress that had a more demanding screen presence than her in 2019. Next major element that I want to talk about is the script. I mentioned it a couple times already, but this is a film that is going in one direction for half of the movie, and then it basically changes gears and becomes an entirely different movie midway through. However, because of the script, it all feels like it fits and it all feels cohesive. So just a lot of fine detail in the script that you miss as a viewer the first time around. It almost benefits you to watch it multiple times, because I mentioned that it's a thriller, but this is also a pretty funny movie. There are a lot of jokes in here that just kind of blow by, and they don't really address it in the film. They just kind of trust you as the viewer that you're going to get it. And so I really respect the script. It's on one hand a comedy, it's also a thriller, it is a family drama, and it also is a movie that has a lot of themes here that it's trying to bring across. Somehow they made it all work together. I really like how dynamic the script is here, and a movie like this was never going to succeed unless it had a tight script. So kudos to Bong Joon-ho and his co-writer Jin-won. Next big thing that I want to talk about is the cinematography, which is nothing short of masterful here. This film wants you to feel like you're down in the trenches. You feel like you're down in the trenches. You're with the well-off Park family. You feel like you're almost floating in a cloud. The cinematography changes with the setting and how the characters are feeling. It almost feels like it takes place in two different places, even though it's all in the same town. Overall, I just thought Parasite was really creative with its cinematography and driving home certain narratives, and also just adding tension, comedy, you name it. Whatever it wants to bring across with the screen, it's going to be successful doing that. Like I said before, Parasite is really good about trusting its audience. It doesn't spell everything out for you, and it leaves you to decipher what exactly the film means in certain spots, and the cinematography is excellent at pushing that forward. I really believe that this film is going to be taught for its use of visual storytelling for years to come. So kudos to the cinematographer here, Kyung-pyo. Again, I apologize if I'm butchering these names. I'm trying my best here, but the cinematographer did an amazing job here. Those are three elements of the film that I think are just excellent and worth noting, but I want to get into some of the themes here and some specific things that I drew away from the film, and I really can't do that unless I go into spoilers here. But I will say, if you have any interest in watching Parasite and you haven't already, do not watch this next part. I don't want to ruin the movie for you. I promise you can't guess the direction that this movie is going to go into, and there are definitely elements in what I'm about to talk about that touch on it, so you've been warned. Spoiler warning going up in 3, 2, 1, boom. Don't think I'm going out on a limb here whenever I say a major theme in this film is wealth and poverty. The family gets introduced to what's called a scholar's rock very early into the film. This rock is supposed to bring material wealth to a household. Not long after that, the events of the film begin to take shape. Gradually, you see the Kim family gain the trust of the Park family and start feeding off of them and their wealth, almost like a parasite. The word parasite naturally has very negative connotations, and for me personally, I don't consider the Kim family to be bad people. Whenever I was watching this movie, I was really trying to figure out what Bong Joon-ho was trying to bring across here. I think the most telling thing is at the end of the movie, whenever Kim Ki-woo puts the scholar's rock back in the river, and he's writing the letter to his father about how he has a plan, he's going to be wealthy, and one day he's going to buy the house and get his dad out of the basement. And they talk about earlier in the film about plans and how important they are. A really good scene that I enjoy is whenever Ki-woo's talking to his father and he asks him about what his plan was. Father says he doesn't have a plan because all plans fail, and the best kind of plan is not one at all, because then it can never fail. What I drew from this is that pursuing material wealth for the sake of pursuing material wealth is never going to end well. By the end of the film, Ki-woo is pursuing these things not because he wants material wealth, but because he wants to get his dad out of the basement in that house. The debate that I see with this movie a lot of times is whether or not the end is real whenever Ki-woo actually gets his dad out of the basement. And my general opinion on that is no, it's not real. It's a vision that Ki-woo has whenever he's writing to his dad. However, I will say, I think because Ki-woo has a vision and a bigger purpose than material wealth, he's in the best position he's ever been in whenever it comes to actually fulfilling that dream. So the optimist in me says, no, that scene wasn't real, but it will become real one day. Because he's seen what happens whenever you don't have a plan for life. His father talks about, again, how he doesn't have a plan, and so after the events of the finale shape out the way that they do, he doesn't have a plan, so where does he end up? He ends up in the basement, and he's trapped there. And I don't think it's going too far to say the basement is supposed to represent poverty here. His dad is trapped in poverty, he did not have a plan, so Ki-woo is making a plan right now, get his dad up out of the basement, or I guess poverty. I'm entirely wrong, but that's what I took away from this film. The film also touches on just how much power can compromise you as a person. Best example of this is the scene in the basement after it's been revealed that the housekeeper's husband lives down there and she's been hiding him. The Kim family at this point has a lot of leverage over her, and the mom is actually going to call the cops on her. However, then it's revealed to the housekeeper that the Kim family is the Kim family. They're not independent people that have been recommended by one another. They're all related, and they have inserted themselves into the lives of this family. They've taken her job. They've taken the driver's job. They've basically just completely changed and uprooted her and her husband's life. She takes a video and is now using that as leverage against the Kim family. After calling the mother of the Kim family her sis at one point whenever she needs something, now she is cold-hearted and not helping her at all. Basically holding the Kim family hostage at that point as soon as they have some power over them. Another really good example of that theme here is, again, the Scholar's Rock. At one point, Ki-woo talks about how it's just clinging to him, and he's not clinging to it, it is just stuck with him. And I think part of that is because they have managed to be successful with inserting themselves into the Park family's lives, that the Scholar's Rock in itself feels powerful. It feels almost like Ki-woo has a magic power whenever he has the Scholar's Rock. Really, you see him almost feel addicted to the power of the Scholar's Rock, and it isn't until he actually loses it that he's no longer clinging to it anymore. He's literally beat over the head with the Scholar's Rock, and it isn't his anymore. There's so much to unpack here, and if I wanted to sit here and talk about the themes and my takeaways from the film, I could easily be sitting here for upwards of an hour. Those are the two themes that I really found most compelling in this film. Obviously, it has a lot to say about income inequality in South Korea, and to be honest, I don't know the full situation there, so I can't really speak to that. But whatever it is that Bong Joon-ho wanted to bring across, he did it. The last thing I want to say that's spoiler-related is just addressing that scene in the house between the housekeeper, her husband, and the Kim family. How bonkers was that the first time that you watched this movie? I legitimately think that scene is one of the best in the last several decades, at least across the movies that I've seen. The last thing that I'll say is I know this movie is really recent. I can easily see myself watching this for many years to come. I'm going to call my shot right here. I think this film is going to be considered one of the greats of the modern era of cinema 50 years from now. It really, really is that good across so many aspects in my mind. If you haven't seen it, take a chance. I promise you won't be disappointed. That's Parasite number 91. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way through, and I will see you all again for number 90. Bye, guys.